graphic designer, Gleason Leroy, has a company called Galera Collective. He curates a lot of the murals down in Wynwood. In 2019, he joined forces with Stephanie Cass. They formed Wynwood Mural Fest, which is a collection of local, national, and international artists during Miami Art Week. Wynwood Mural Fest is the largest collaboration of murals in Miami. This year, they will have over 80 artists participate.
We learn what's important, that's the people around us. You know, if the artist didn't exist, then the neighborhood doesn't exist. So let's find ways to keep this a sustainable cycle and keep the community strong.
Yeah, because you created this community. You created this neighborhood. Not you, but
the
artists.
The artists themselves,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
When I say you...
Yeah, you mean the neighborhood.
The artists, right? Yeah. You created the critical mass, and then suddenly it became a destination, right? So, you know, you're hoping those who came in leave something behind to be accretive to the community instead of being an opportunist, right? Yeah. So I know you've got a doc going, and this is sort of plays to this, is MSG, is a homegrown crew, right? And there's some iconic artists that started it, are still in it. And tell me a little bit about MSG. All right, tell me a little bit about the doc.
I actually can tell quite a bit now because I've been learning more and more, you know, going through the process of interviewing and collecting content. They've been around since 1994, started by Chrome and DOS and Dask and Gear in that realm, just painting, wanting to paint their names legibly so people can see who it was. And they're one of the very first few, along with Damn Crew at the time, which was a little bit older crew, to start doing productions with characters or something in an area where you can see, and it was actual artistic. It wasn't just tagging and self-destruction. Sure, it was illegal and it was still vandalism, but it was pretty vandalism. And from then on, you get the Crook and Chrome thing in '99. That was 4 months worth of chaos that really put them on the map here. And
$1 Million Bail, right?
$1 Million Bail, right? Yeah. I'm actually using that pretty heavily on the sizzle reel for the boys to get excited about. But yeah, so it just kind of was a thing that kept going. It went up and down, and then it just kept stratospherically going after like 2000. When Basel came down and the opportunity came when guys like Hawks and Abstract and Atomic and Quake with cushy gigs, just literally taking care of the neighborhood and taking care of the local brands, the bigger brands that came to play with them. And then for the movie itself, for me, it was a no-brainer. I watched that Michael Jordan documentary earlier this year, and I was like, I hang out with a crew of 80-something guys that do graffiti. There's a similarity here to the way they did this. I was thinking a 10-episode thing. It's already changed to a 90-minute movie and some spin-off artist series. But yeah, that was the main core, was just to kind of get them highlighted in a light that shows where vandalism can be a beginning, almost teaching tool to a productive career as an artist versus your normal, oh, they're graffiti writers, they're vandals, they're destruction. No, that's not. That's at the end right there. For most of them, 80% of them, there is a career after that. Sure, there's some guys my age, even older, that are still out there because they enjoy that. That's their therapy, for lack of a better term. But for most part, we're going to highlight the positivity that comes out of putting your life on the line, getting arrested and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, and Chrome had shared some of those stories with us in our sit-down.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, as you know, 100%.
Yeah. And so when is that going to see potentially the light of day?
We're hoping for around this time, 2022. It's going to take, I've got almost a terabyte worth of just old footage to put together a little 3-minute trailer that I'll send you later today to get the boys excited. And then we go on to the Raise partnership, get that going, licensing, and then we start really editing probably by the summer of next year. So we're thinking we'll be done hopefully by summer of 2022, and then final cuts, and then we're going to launch it hopefully around this time with Wynwood Mural Fest, Art Basel, whatever's going on at the time.
Oh, so you're going to highlight it then?
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. That's awesome.
Kind of keep things uniform for us too. I mean, all the help I get from them, that would makes total sense for me to just kind of highlight that, and helps, you know, thing that we put together here, along with what they put together since 1994, come together as one solid group.
Wynwood, deservedly, has become a breeding ground for the arts.
How you doing, Beluski, man? Nice to meet you.
Joe, Beluski?
He makes our sweet balloons. It's super dope shit.
If you do not display at Art Basel, do you really exist? Are you a graffiti writer? Old and new, and have not painted at Basel? Well, who are you? The artists aren't always the people with paint all over their clothes. They are construction workers, accountants, train conductors, and even doctors.
Now, you're a doctor?
Yes.
Really? Where do you practice?
I'm in Washington, D.C. right now.
Nice.
I practiced on the West Coast for a while, but originally from New York.
Yeah, and is that where you picked up your art in New York, Queens?
Yeah. Growing up as a teenager in Queens, New York, that's just what you did.
What years was that?
Probably around 1983, I really started writing on walls with paint.
Yeah.
Before then, a kid in school just, drawing on my desk, drawing on my notebook. Then one day, one of your friends is like, oh, hey, I got a marker or I got paint, and you start doing it outside, and, it just escalates and escalates, and yeah.
So as you do this now, like most people, when they think of graffiti artists, they think of younger people, high school, bombing it, tagging it, just leaving a mark somewhere and then out. You're a doctor, middle age, you're still painting on a wall. Like, take me through that.
There's a lot of the really most famous graffiti writers out there from the 80s and 90s. They're all in their 40s and 50s, and a lot of them are doing walls like this one's pretty legal for me to do,
right.
But a lot of them are still doing illegal walls and trains and everything. They fit it into their lives. Once it's in your blood, it's there, and that's what you just constantly think about. I might be on a train or driving down the highway and thinking, oh, that wall on that roof would be good, or this wall down here would be good, and doesn't mean I always go out at night and do that, but it's always in my head, always thinking about that still.
When's the last time you were out at night?
Oh, probably with a couple buddies and having too many drinks after a good concert, yeah.
Did you? Did you crack the trunk open and?
Someone just pulled something out, and I'm like,
Right.
of course, give me that, yeah.
Nice. Do you have to be commissioned out here right now to hit these, or?
Not commissioned,
Yeah.
but somebody runs this wall,
Okay.
and people want to come paint it. He has to okay it. He's one of the people that paints on this wall too. So this is like all his friends or acquaintances on this wall. So if someone just randomly comes and paints here without them knowing, they'll just take it right off.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. So it's almost like a semi-commission, is you have to get the permission on it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll try
Did
to
you
get
just
try
come
to
in
get
town
approval.
for Basel?
Yeah. To see
Yeah.
some friends, to come and paint, to come and have a good time, just a little vacation.
Yeah.
It's a perfect time because it's right between Thanksgiving and Christmas, so it's like that time in the middle when no one's traveling. So it's cheap to come down, the hotels are cheaper. But usually this area is like an influx of people from all over the world, and yeah, I'm a little bit glad it's not as busy this year, so I can relax and just chill a little bit more with people I know.
Yeah. So how long will you be down here for? For the whole week?
Just till Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you paint when you're up in DC at all?
Yeah, there's a couple spots up there, and I know some of the younger guys who, like this wall, they have permission to paint on the wall, and they kind of say who's going to be on there or not. And since I'm kind of more known from New York from the 90s, they hear of who I am, and they're like, oh, come paint on our wall, come paint on our wall, because I made a little impression on people, I guess, back in the 90s or something like that.
Where did you start? Would you put yourself as a bomber? Would you put yourself as an artist? Because you're here there now for Art Basel, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm in Wynwood for Art Basel. I've been coming out here for the last 7 years or so. So I've watched, as you see, construction. I've watched the changes happen. Obviously, I'm not a local, but I've been here enough. I actually did live out here for a little bit, way back in South Beach. So, in regards to graph, I started out and primarily was a guy who got up. I just bombed New York City, mostly, back in the day, from people that know me now, not growing up, were like, wait, you were painting when? Because I started painting streets and highways and stuff like that when I was 14. I didn't have an older brother or siblings, and the older guys that I roll with, they weren't hanging out with me. Then I was around them, but it was just some kid. Saw what they did, didn't have much of a style, kept the same tag. So I was bombing when I was 14, 13.
By yourself?
I had partners here and there.
Yeah.
When I was 17, I started bombing by myself, and that's when I started actually getting up. Could have done more, but I was gonna look.
What do you mean by getting up?
Getting my name up, putting my
Got it.
name up as much as I could.
Yeah.
for a 17-year-old kid on a budget, And of course back then we were stealing paint, but still no car, things like that. But yeah, I mean I used to rack a lot of paint. I used to steal a lot of paint. I didn't pay for it. Nowadays I'll pay for it because I'm a business owner, man. I'm not trying to, get caught stealing spray paint.
When's the last time you put something up?
I put things up legally. I am an artist. I started bombing. I started doing outline, throwies, they're like bubble letters. Fill them in quick, or just outlines of those letters, or catching your tag, just like a hand style, all over New York City. And then at some point, through friends, through me, whatever, I discovered, oh shit, this guy can paint like characters, like cartoon characters. And I had a knack for that since I was a kid, because I'd look at the comic books and on pencil and paper, I would just copy and draw and add it to stuff, just for fun. And I was into drawing, and I was into doing like portrait type reality, like black and white pencils, pens. But I never was like, oh, I can do this on a wall. I just really didn't do it.
So your artist sort of was on paper first?
Yes.
And then you found your way to the walls?
Yes, and then eventually, out here, I was like, I'll do a character. Like, it was, I don't know, 8, 7, whatever years ago, all the guys are doing pieces. Old school dudes from New York, newer school, doing beautiful things that I was like, oh, I can't do that. Like, I can do my bubble letters. I was a bomber. And I did a cartoon character, Hong Kong Phooey, and all these guys that I grew up with, and some that I didn't, were like, yo, that's your shit. You just did that? I'm like, yeah. They're like, in a half hour, I'm like, why? And they're like, I can't do it. I'm like, you guys can do that. They're like, we can't do that. Like a bunch of people that are
like legit,
notable,
right.
Notable, really good graffiti artists. So it's like, how could you not? You did that. How could you not do this? This is fucking easy. Like, it's not for me. I don't understand. I'm like, I don't understand. Like, so I started doing characters, and then I started implementing more letters and surrounding myself with people that are good at that stuff, but also wanting to learn. My ego is in check. As a kid, fucking ego is out of control. As an adult, I'm like, oh, show me. You jiu-jitsu. I'm a 3rd degree black belt, right? I have a list of accomplishments. I'm sure you do as well. But if you're like, here's how I do this wrist lock, I'd be like, oh, show me that.
Right.
How do I do it? How do I do it? That's happened with art.
The passion for graffiti lives in the DNA of most of these writers. 40-year-old men risking their freedom to put a name on a wall. Sounds juvenile, I know. But what if somebody like James Taylor were told he needs to give up his music career when he became an adult? Was music juvenile? Some of the greatest artists gave up a 9-to-5 job to spend hours in a dark room making paintings of their distorted selves, to never see the great impact they had on the art culture. To these grown men, graffiti writing is no different.